Hey everyone, this is Ray Does Tech, and today we are going to be taking a look at the RTX 5060 and a $30 14-core Intel Xeon. I was able to pick up this awesome CPU, RAM, and motherboard combo for $57. It came with one stick of DDR4 memory, only one sadly, and no dual channel on this. It also came with an M.2 slot, as you can see. Thankfully, I was able to pick this up before the RAM crisis, as you can see. Unfortunately, you can't even get these anymore with the RAM included, so keep that in mind. I went ahead and picked up this crazy AIO cooler for only 36 bucks, and this thing cools it like an absolute beast. You'll see later. Thankfully, the assembly on this was super easy. Setting up the AIO cooler, I also paired it with an SSD, just a 512 gig SSD. So we're going to go ahead and fire this machine up, boot it up just fine. Now the RTX 5060 comes in at 3072 CUDA cores, 96 tensor cores, 24 ray tracing cores, and 8 gigs of GDDR6. I definitely agree with the masses on this card. Should be at least 12 gigabytes of VRAM. I think that this card could do so much more with more VRAM, but we'll see how this card pairs up with this $30 Intel Xeon in the benchmarks. Now, speaking of the Intel Xeon, here we have it at 14 cores, 28 total threads, and this CPU coming out in Q1 of 2016. It supports up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM, which is just ridiculous. And it did MSRP at $1,700, which is just bonkers, considering now you can pick it up for $12 to $50 as shown. You can see we're able to get the system set up, and the RAM and CPU are posting properly. And here I'm doing some quick testing, just seeing how the CPU does with super basic tasks. As expected, it does great. I was able to go on here and download the NVIDIA drivers perfectly, and I was also able to download MSI Afterburner for the testing portion of this. Keep in mind, I was downloading games while installing the NVIDIA drivers, and I had absolutely no hiccups. So this thing works just fine as a basic desktop CPU. I'd have no issues using it for daily use. Now getting into the benchmarks here, we have Tearown, which is just running flawlessly at over 150 frames, even up into the 200s sometimes. Just running around, driving the car. When we start to see more reduced FPS is when we start using more explosions and more smoke comes in and more fire. So here I'm going to show the graphic options. They're at the highest they possibly can be. The only thing we have is VSync and motion blur turned off, of course. So here I was able to get into the car, drive around, crash into flames, and you can really see the FPS starting to tank. But this game is very heavy on the CPU, of course, very heavy on the GPU. And I definitely think the GPU was being limited, as you can see, not reaching 100%. I know this game likes to use like a single core, and the single core performance on this Intel Xeon is not great, as you'll see throughout the rest of these benchmarks. Definitely could use more juice from the RTX 5060 if it had a better CPU in it. Like right there, we were hitting 55, 70 FPS, which is just not great for this GPU. And here we have Firestrike Extreme at 1080p. And as you can see, again, just low GPU usage for what should be a high GPU usage test. More CPU usage than the GPU, which is never a good sign. Now here we have Bannerlord, which this is a much more CPU intensive game. We'll go ahead and wait for this to load in, see what the results look like. Now that we're loaded into the game, we're seeing about 70 FPS on average here. This should get better over time as the NPCs start to die, but this game is very much CPU intensive. As you can see, We have the settings maxed out, and the GPU is only at about 40% usage, with the CPU at 50%. The clock speeds on the CPU is pegged at about 2.9, which is good, and we're only using about 3.8 gigs of memory. Keep in mind, this is a 200 versus 200 match, so definitely as you get further and further into the Bannerlord game, the battles will get larger and larger, even up to the thousands, so keep that in mind. We're hovering at about 70 FPS here during a siege, but I imagine when you play in the larger battles, your FPS will tank a lot more than what you're seeing. Next we have Arc Raiders, and this game is highly optimized. But again, as you can see, 50% CPU usage, 40% GPU usage, and again, we are using way more CPU power than GPU power here. And keep in mind that this is a server CPU, so the wattage on this is going to be a lot higher. So you got to keep that in mind if you're having higher power watt constraints within your area. A better card to pair with this might be the RTX 3060 or even the RX 480, RX 580 line of GPUs. Because unfortunately, I just feel like we're not getting the full potential of the RTX 5060 here. Only at about 60 frames per second, high settings, 1080p, should definitely be seen higher than 37% usage on that GPU. Next, we'll be taking a look at CS2. This game is definitely more CPU heavy than GPU. I feel like this game can run about pretty much any GPU. But for now, we're going to be starting on the high settings at 1080p. And we're getting about 130 to 140 FPS on average. Now this is a more intensive map, train, but as you can see, the GPU usage spikes between about 60 and 70% usage. Now this game is running great at over 100 frames, but for my competitive folks out there, definitely need to be going over 144 consistently, and this just isn't working. So we'll go ahead and try reducing the settings and see if we can get that higher frame rate that competitive players like to have. So here we're going to drop the preset to low. It doesn't make much of a difference. We're still seeing it dip down into the 130s and 120s, which for a professional player or anyone who's trying to play at a high level, that's definitely not an acceptable level to be playing the game at. And in my opinion, if you're wanting to play Counter-Strike or other competitive games, you're going to want to pair this GPU with some sort of CPU that has 3D V-cache to increase those frame rates. Next, we're going to be taking a look at Hitman 2. This game should do a lot better with the multi-core CPU. I don't believe it'll use all 14 cores, obviously. We want the graphics settings that was suggested by the game, and as you can see, we're getting much higher CPU usage, but still, even on a game that is more CPU bound, we're still seeing such low GPU usage. And unfortunately, that's just the pairing here. The CPU, in my opinion, is the bottleneck. It's just unfortunate to see the RTX 5060 not being used to its full potential. The VRAM usage isn't even that high. The memory usage isn't even that high. I wonder if this game would run a bit faster if the memory is in dual channel. Say there were 2 8 gig sticks. But this combo only came with one 16 gig stick. To finish things off, I think this is a pretty mediocre pairing. If you just want something to get started and get right into it, I'd recommend it. But I would recommend going with a lower end GPU or by the higher end GPU in preparation for a CPU and a RAM upgrade. And this RTX 5060 is definitely being underutilized. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you want to see down below. Have a good one.